Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again. I'm your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in theatrical and streaming horror movies. Each week, the Gruesome Magazine Grue-Crew will take a look at very spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we're reviewing Lovely, Dark, and Deep. It is a horror movie, not something else. Anyway, let me introduce my crew before we get into the review, starting off with Jeff Mohr. How you doing, Jeff Mohr?
I'm doing good. Working on my tan.
Ha! Nice. In the dark recesses of your home. No, I know you're in California, but
It doesn't take much.
There you go. Mine goes from Irish white to lobster red.
Irish red.
I freckle and burn.
Yeah. Also joining us is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
Are you guys real? Are you real?
No.
Okay. Just wondering. Just wondering.
Is this movie real?
That was a hard
right.
question. I haven't decided.
Once you see the movie, you'll understand what all that was all about.
Or will you?
Or will you? Oh man, what we're going to do is we're going to give you our initial impression of the film. That initial impression will be spoiler free. Then we're going to dive into a discussion about the movie. We'll get into some spoilers, and then we'll wrap things up with our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. And of course, we hope you enjoy not only this review but many others that we have on the site. And we also have Decades of Horror. We have 3 of those going on. We have the classic era, which is up through the 60s. We have the 70s, where you get all the groovy horror movies, and then the 80s, where you get the slashers and the gory ones. Yeah. And Resurrecting from the Dead. H&R is back this year. Dave and I are bringing your weekly news every Tuesday.
Yep.
All right, let's take a look at the card and get things going. The Boink. Lovely, Dark, and Deep 2024 from XYZ Films, available in theaters and digital February 22nd, 2024. The synopsis: Lennon, a new backcountry ranger, travels alone through the dangerous wilderness, hoping to uncover the origins of a tragedy that has haunted her since she was a child. It's written and directed by Teresa, Sutherland. The cast includes Georgina, Campbell, Nick Blood, Ching, Edgar Morals, Anya, Sofia Martins, and Soren Hellerup. So, Boink, let's find out what our first impressions were. Christopher, start us off.
Well, I will say this film is a slow burn, so be very aware. It's a very slow, methodical film. I think it's really beautifully shot. It's got some really nice shots, some nice sort of use of the camera work to sort of show like the journey into sort of almost like some form of insanity, I guess, without giving too much away, or the dreamscape aspect of it, or nightmarish aspect of it, or however you want to look at it towards the end, or whatever happens at the end. But I don't know. I think the biggest, I don't know. I think my biggest problem that I think the main character, there's not, I mean, I guess there's sort of an arc, but she's basically the same sort of monotone person, except for a few places where she gets emotional and stuff, but she's like that same level throughout. And then sort of like the last third, it kind of goes into a little bit of David Lynchian territory with someone talking backwards. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought it was interesting. I think as someone that has always heard stories of what happens in the woods, there could be portals and that all these people disappear in the woods, and you're wondering like, what's causing this? And I think it kind of delves into, I mean, there's even part where she's listening to a podcast about it. But it doesn't, I guess the main thing, it definitely doesn't give any kind of thing other than it happens. It doesn't, there's like no explanation to it. And I was kind of confused. And then I was kind of annoyed by the ending. Because it kind of, yeah, I mean, it's almost like, why care? And by the end of the movie, without giving too much away, it's like, why do we even have rangers?
Hey! At least in this part of the world,
what
right?
is the point in this part? Because they're really, if you're not going to do anything. Anyway, I mean, I thought it was interesting. I think I kind of feel like it. I feel like it kind of squandered the premise a little bit. But it's still interesting. It's still visually interesting for sure. It's shot really well. I meant to look up the cinematographer, but the cinematography is really well done. There's a lot of use of different forms of camera work with upside, twirling of the camera, upside down shots. There's definitely a lot of use of drone shots, but they're not the annoying same type that we normally see. And I think also the use of sound design as well works. So I think it's an interesting film. But I like I said, going into it, just know it's very much a slow burn. It never really picks up speed. It just goes the same level throughout, and which can get kind of annoying. And there was parts where it was like, okay, let's get to it. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's lovely, but it's definitely dark.
Yeah, the cinematographer is a fellow named Rui Pocus, and it's got the C with the funny little squiggle at the bottom. I don't know how to pronounce that. He's done a lot of films, 85 credits cinematographer, but they look to all be foreign as far as us in the States. So.
Well, it's shooting a lot of that stuff. I mean, I don't know if they had any kind of set stuff. It almost felt like they shot a lot of it just in the woods, but it looks, to shoot all that stuff in the woods, you really have to be very particular how you shoot it, especially shooting night stuff. So, so as a filmmaker, I definitely applaud what they were able to pull off.
Yeah, they certainly captured that wonderfully. The different lights you need to make it look like it's not day for night. Jeff, what was your first impression of Lovely, Dark, and Deep?
Well, I love the title. It is. This is kind of, the title sort of invokes the idea of the feel of this movie. It is very atmospheric. It is very slow burn. This is a one where I think it's up to the viewer to decide what's going on, and I'm not going to give my opinion yet. But I love the actress, love the cinematography, love the location. I mean, some of those shots were vertigo creating,
It could be, yeah.
And you said it too, the in the dark, it can be really annoying when somebody's walking around a woods with a flashlight and they're shooting it. But they did a good job here. You can see what they wanted you to see, basically. And I didn't feel like I was getting manipulated, I guess. But yeah, this is kind of a thing we fall into. It's sort of it's kind of a trope now, and I don't know what to call it. I should look it up. Maybe somebody's probably already a subgenre of movies where you're trying to decide, is it this or that? But I'm with Chris too, because I've watched some series on people that go missing in the woods, and they're just like, it's like they disappear. They can't find them. I saw one where they looked and looked and looked, and it was about a backcountry ranger, just like this. Somebody that had been out there for she was relatively inexperienced, but had been out there for 18 years or something, and all of a sudden disappears. So there is that to kind of build on. So that's kind of what they're feeding on. I was really looking forward to this because the writer-director, Teresa Sutherland, had written The Wind, and
yes,
was a staff writer on the Mike Flanagan stuff, Midnight Mass, and I don't know, there was something else. But anyway, I was really looking forward to this, but I think it doesn't live up to The Wind,
which was also
in
slow burn.
my opinion.
Yeah.
It is a slow burn, but that one's got I don't know. I own that one, and I've watched that several times, and it's intriguing. So anyway, I'll stop there before I spoil something more.
I'm kind of with Christopher that, you know, it's an interesting film, and it draws you in mainly because of our lead actress Georgina Campbell, who was Tess in Barbarian, by the way. And you know, she is magnetic. She's you enjoy watching her. You enjoy, yeah. You're not like she carries the film, but the film's feels like it's really about the fragile of how fragile the mind is. Really, it's like, you know, because it questions reality at some point. At various points, almost like maybe the last half of the film. That's exactly what it's doing. It's not necessarily. It doesn't. I do like that it treats the audience as intelligent. You know, it's not spoon feeding you everything. It tells you enough, but it leaves a lot of it up for you to decide. But at the same time, the film kind of meanders a bit at one point. Once she's lost, there's a point where she gets lost and she finds herself in an unexpected part of the woods, and it just kind of goes around in circles, which is kind of the point. But at the same time, it's also right. But it's also kind of boring to watch, and not enough really interesting or compelling or story driven elements happen during this time. It's just exploring these little bits and pieces of the story and trying to put them together, and it's not enough. So it kind of lost me there. At some point, it comes back together, and I had a better time with the ending, Christopher, than you did, but I can see where it could easily piss you off, because it's kind of like, well, that's not very very good. Right. But so in the end, I enjoyed it, but it's not a home run by any stretch. It's it left me wanting more, and not in a good way. You know, not like I want to have another film. I actually wanted more from this one. I wanted to learn something.
Well, I don't know, and I guess it kind of would have been nice if we gotten I guess you don't have to explain everything, but I'd like to know a little bit more about why people are taken. But again, it's more that sort of mystery around it. I mean, it became almost like the elements. I don't want to really compare it to Science Lands, because it's definitely not Science Lands by any stretch of imagination, but it is about trauma. It is about, and I think we have those moments where her sort of, when she goes a little bit crazy, she kind of delves into that in her mind, to steal the Hannibal thing, her mind palace of of dreaming and the nightmarish things about her life and the loss of her sister,
Well, before you get too far down that road, I just want to say out loud that we're in spoilers now.
Yeah.
So we are going to kind of dive into some of the nuggets that would spoil the film for you if you haven't seen it.
But yeah, I don't know. It gets kind of interesting, I guess, but then it just it's like there's a moment where she just goes, like, it becomes David Lynchville, where it's just all these crazy things that give them a reason to show like these weird visions and stuff. And then we have the whole sort of scene where she's replaying her life, and it's like, okay, we get it. She was traumatized by this.
Exactly.
How much do we need to see this? And I think it just became repetitive. And I think, yeah, if you want to be in the mindset of this character, but at some point I'm like, okay, well,
yeah. So how many ways are there to tell us the same thing? And that's what I felt. It was just like there was like a segment for about 20 or 30 minutes where it was just like 5 minutes to tell us, 5 minutes to tell us, 5 minutes to tell us, and it was telling us the same conclusion every time. Which I had already kind of figured out on the onset, right? It wasn't, this deeply hidden mystery. You kind of figured things out. The really what the mystery is once that the leader, right, the ranger in charge shows up and has her little, speech with her and sets her free. Until then, And also felt like the weight of when she finds the first lady, and it's not like we didn't find her, you found her, needed to be it need to be a little more emphasis on that to really get, maybe that there was some kind of danger to it. Then because it almost felt like it didn't come across at that moment how dire it actually was, and I felt, which kind of took away some of the tension. If we knew that, oh crap, you're the one that found it, now what does that mean? I think a good portion of the next bit of the film would have had a little bit more gravity to it. And by the time we learned what that means, it was like all the bits that were meant to be scary weren't quite scary enough.
Yeah, I guess it was. There were the moments, the WTF moments, where you're like, man, where are we going with this? And it's just like, no, it's just, it's just your mind messing with her, So it sort of like, and visually, the way visually, I think that the selling point of this film is the visuals, because it's got some really nice, the photography of the forest, either night or day. There's that nice little shot from below the trunk where they use this kind of weird lens and stuff, and they also add some like special
the tree trunk, right?
Moving and stuff. Yeah, there's some really cool. There's a really, even like towards the beginning, they have that nice shot where it goes upside down, and you see the trees upside down, and they add that, and then the sound effect, that just like makes it all kinds of creepy. That we're entering into this weird world. But I don't know.
And there's some real well placed drone shots that didn't feel, like it didn't feel like, oh, I have a drone kind of shots. They were on purpose, right? They had a thing to tell us.
Well, we watch enough films to where it's like, okay, we've seen this shot a million times, just
going down the street over.
Yeah, it's not the 1970s where you had to use a helicopter to shoot that. Now you can just get your 12-year-old nephew to film this scene where a car's going down a road. Ooh, look how artsy we are. But yeah, there's some really artistic uses of that. Even like that the final shot where it
pulls
just
away,
goes higher and higher, and she's just this small little ant like form in the midst of this forest. But yeah, I think the main thing is like, yeah, I felt like I was just as confused as her, and I wanted some kind of meaning to this, and they didn't really give it. And I think it almost felt like a throwaway, like, okay, well, it takes, other than the main rules of like, you can't take anything, you can't kill anything, you can't I forgot the other one, but there's like 3 rules or whatever. And then when the other lady shows up,
nothing, take nothing, kill nothing.
Yeah. Which at first I thought I was going the literal route of like, she needs to get rid of that license because she had that girl's license.
I didn't even think about that.
I would thought that was the reason they were going out. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together. It's because she saved the girl. That's the reason. But then it's like, what is the point of these rangers?
Yeah.
What are their point if they just leave people?
Well, they did save the couple. They didn't, from the woods was wanting the couple, and they saved that. Or at least the lady.
Right. They wanted her to kill them. For me, this is that again, and we're kind of talking about this, I guess, but it's sort of that subgenre where you can't figure out whether is it supernatural or is she going insane?
Yeah.
And to me, there's not enough stuff in there to make it interesting if it's supernatural. All the way through, I'm thinking this is supernatural. What are we gonna find out? What are we gonna see? But when I go back on it and look at it in terms of it's somebody gradually going insane, then those scenes become a little more interesting to me anyway.
And they do lead that she had problems before
right. And so in the end, I think that's what it is. And think about that. She's like, she's there to search for her sister that was never found, that she feels guilty about. And it's like, what, 20 years later? I
don't know what she was expecting.
When do you, that's a serious kind of OCD there that I see the insanity. So,
well, yeah, but then you have an ending which is like, you know what? Don't try to help people.
Well, no, but that's because she's crazy.
well, that's
not.
true.
It's
But
not what the Rangers want to do.
Yeah. Well, they're
Are they?
well, no, we learned that they follow this rule about, if they ask you if they're real, you don't, the woods, the forest has already taken them. Let them go. They're not yours.
Yeah, I guess.
Who? Wait a minute. Who says that?
Two people do. The lady she saves does, because after she says, "I'm real," she hugs her. And then the guy at the end says, "Are you real?" And she says, "No." And he turns
but
back
who
around.
tells her you're not supposed to?
The lady in the dream sequence, the Asian lady, the Asian.
Well, but again,
Why?
If you have an unreliable narrator, then
but she disappears. She disappears. So, I mean, you get the impression that she took her place.
Maybe
that's
she
what
killed her.
Well, maybe she did. No,
I got dreams of shooting her gun. So,
well, I got the impression that the Asian Ranger lady, the boss lady, she was had enough, and she says, "No, you can't, but I can." And that's what she took care of it. So
I guess
if it's supernatural, yeah.
I just kind of wish that we delved into that almost folk horror aspect of this story.
Yes, it needed more of the
if there'd been some kind of like to know like who are we sacrificing to this god of the woods or whatever. I mean, there's an opportunity there.
But you're right. That makes, in terms of the folk horror, it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Why have Rangers?
Mm-hmm.
Is it only the ones that ask you, "Are you real?" that you don't save?
Yeah.
Well, by example, that's what they do. Yeah. But we only get 2, so it's not enough for a pattern. It's only a coincidence.
Yeah.
Right?
So
right, Jeff?
To me, that's a problem. Either way, it doesn't make sense. So it's either she's gone crazy and she's, or they're not helping people. So either way, it's like
she questions the other guy, the guy that becomes the new leader, and
Jackson.
He seems to know about it. At least from his
reacts like he knows what she's talking about, but are we reading into that?
Well, we could be. We could be. Yeah,
I think we are.
And I think that's the annoying part of it. It's like I don't know. I would get kind of tired of this sort of like people going crazy, and it's just him being crazy as opposed to anything being.
Well, the way they acted feeds into it, because when she saves that girl, the Jackson ordered her to stay back.
He was mad at her. Yeah.
Well,
and then when she saves the girl, the Asian lady who's the leader, she says, "Good job, Ranger," and then chews her out and fires her. And the other guy really chews her out. So it could be,
and that's when he says,
"I fired him."
Right?
Yeah. Am I firing her because she disobeyed an order, or because did I give her that order because we knew she wouldn't know what to do if somebody said, "Are you?"
Well, also, like, if it's just all in her head and she's crazy, why did they hire? She just got lost in the woods. She's the worst ranger ever. So
she got super lost.
So how in the world did you get hired back? So there's
she disobeyed him again, right?
Yeah.
But she's supposed to stay in the cabin, and she just takes off and ends up.
I feel like they knew that. They knew that once she had done that she was the woods, and she had to stay there, and that was going to happen. I thought they were at this point they were sacrificing her.
I thought that too. I thought maybe they brought these weird rangers in there to sacrifice. I mean, again, that's what I kind of thought it was going. I thought that we were going to find out about these sort of like.
Well, that would cut. Yeah.
Cult of Rangers,
that'd be even more interesting, right? All right. Well, I think we're going to come to another conclusion if we keep going. So let's stop at 3. So let's go. Let's go ahead and give our score 1 to 5 and our favorite scene. Christopher, you sir are up first.
Well, regardless of my issues with the confusion of and the slow burn of it all, I think visually it's definitely very interesting. And it definitely stands a little bit taller than other things because of it visually. But I'll give it a 3.25.
Oh, nice.
Because I think visually it looks really cool. But I there's just I think if I start thinking my own version of it that sounds a whole lot better, then there's a problem with how the story plays out, and regardless of how of what you take away from it. As for favorite scene, I will say, I could go with the thing that they've shown in the the shots they put online, which is the crew freakiest part. But
Yeah,
I feel like seeing it visually didn't work as well as just see the shot of it. I'll say the part when she sees herself as a ranger.
Oh, and she
And
fires a gun.
the way that's framed to where the shot happens behind her to where you don't actually see the shot go off. I thought visually was a very interesting way of doing that. I like the way that was staged, and also just her
just the splatter.
Yeah, that and her just being like kind of reminded me of what was the Canadian Ranger cartoon, I can't remember, but
I can't either. I know what you're talking about.
the Rocky and Bullwinkle, you had the Ranger. But anyway, it felt like that where she's like, "Hi, this is
Yogi Bear?
fun." No, not Yogi Bear.
No.
What is it? I don't know. Anyway, I'm having a brain fart. But anyway, I just felt like her goody two shoes Ranger when she just shoots somebody point blank. I thought was a really cool. Just how that whole scene was framed. I'll stop talking now.
All right, Joe, you're up next, sir.
Imagine that. I'm going 3.25 as well, mostly for the visuals and for Georgina Campbell. And she was in Bird Box Barcelona too recently. So
yes, she was.
She's somebody I'm going to look forward to keeping an eye on, and I will keep an eye on this writer director Teresa Sutherland too, because it's interesting. I just feel like, for me, I mean, I'm sure they knew what they were going for, but for me, I'm missing a little more meat there somewhere.
Yeah.
My favorite scene, I'm going to take. When we see the shadow on the side of the tent wall move.
Oh, you booger. Yes, that was cool because it was there all along.
Yeah, I had to rewind that and look at it again to see what did I miss, because it seemed like all of a sudden there was this Russia thing, and it was like, and then it turned into something, and that was creepy too when we see that guy and the way his arm was, like, what the hell's going on here? So anyway,
messed up his arm.
That probably gave me the goosebumps out of all this. That and the vertical shots with the I forget what they call them. It's like tent pole pines or something, but they
sway a little bit.
Yeah, they kind of sway, and that was such a unsettling view.
Very, 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 unsettling perspective to it. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna keep this all together. I'm going 3 1/4 as well. That's what I have. Maybe 3 1/4 with a little plus after the end, but 3 1/4.
Just to be different.
Yeah, just to be different. There are tons of 60s cartoon fans out there screaming at us, Christopher.
Dudley Do Right. Yeah.
Dudley Do Right. Yes, you knew it.
That one.
I just looked it up. I couldn't put two together for that.
Yep. Dudley Do
That's a Mountie, not a Ranger, right?
That's
I know.
True. It was a Mountie, Canadian Mountie. So my favorite scene was what Jeff just said. So I will pick when she finds the missing lady. I think Sarah, even though she calls her Jenny at one point, she's because that's her sister's name, and as she's going around saying Sarah, a couple times she goes Jenny, which I thought was a subtle little include. But anyway, when she finds her, she looks so creepy. Well, there's something kind of gnarly going on too, feminine wise, but she just looks so creepy. The way she looks totally out of it and totally like she doesn't even. At first, she gives the impression that she doesn't even realize anybody's there. Which I guess from later on we see that maybe that's true, right? But when she tells her that she's real, the lady, the actress that had the small role did such a great job. Her whole expression changed, and then she gives her her hug. I thought that scene was really creepy, as well as the scene leading up to it, because you get some shots of the environment around, because they're going down this really creepy little windy path, so you can't see what's coming ahead of you, and there's like fog coming off the creeks that are going by and stuff. It's really, really interesting shots. Yeah. All right. Well, there's our review of Lovely, Dark, and Deep. It's out on VOD from XYZ Films, and if you're lucky, it is in a theater near you. I would imagine there's a few and far between, but hey, give it a check. Maybe it's there.
Might be kind of cool to see in the theater in terms of the visuals.
Seeing some of the visuals and stuff. It would probably make it even creepier when you have like the camera rotating and upside down
on the big screen. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. But we'd be very interested in hearing what you think about it. Leave some comments down below. Christopher, Jeff, thank you for joining me. It was a lot of fun, as always.
It's better being a part of this than being lost in the woods.
Yeah.
You got that right.
All right. With that, let's say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Gruesome Magazine.